Hello, you're welcome to News Magazine with me, Irbad Ibrahim,
Safo.
And today we have an interesting discussion for you on inclusive education. And we have a man who has over 3 decades of experience in that area. We are still discussing basic education. But time management is of utmost importance. 90% of the time, people find themselves on their phones, or engaged in one form of an activity that is unproductive or another. How do you manage your time? For our motivational section this morning, we take a little insight on time management. Do stick and stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
The one commodity that is most valuable on this earth is time. Time to love, time to live. From the moment the human body is born, it begins dying. I don't think you quite caught that. Let me say it again. From the moment the human body is born, it begins dying. Some happen faster, some happen slower. Some of us help them go faster, and some of them prevent it from happening sooner than later. How many seconds, how many minutes do we waste every day doing things that are nowhere near the goals and aspirations and passions that we have inside? How many times do you go through the course of a day and realize, did I do anything I set out to do today? Write down those goals each and every day. No matter if it's 2 goals a day, if you can accomplish those, then you're doing more than just making it through the day. You are living and achieving your dreams. Find time to better yourself, read, explore, research, live life, do things you've never thought of doing before. That's what it's all about. When you're born, that's that date that they put on the left side of the tombstone. When you die, they put another date on the right side of the tombstone. But that dash in the middle is the most important thing on that tombstone. That is a line that throughout that entire time frame, you were able to impact and touch others' lives. You were able to leave your mark on this earth. You were able to build a legacy that nobody could change. You were able to have it to where people remembered who you are no matter what. When you're living for that dash in the middle, you're going to remember your why. Your why you're here. Not the why did you do something. Your why, your reason for getting up in the morning, your reason for pushing yourself past the brink of exertion and giving up. Your reason for moving on and getting things done in life. That dash in the middle, that's the thing that pushes you.
How do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your physical appearance, in terms of your health? Do you take care of yourself? Are you allowing yourself to get overweight and out of shape? Are you conscious of your health? Are you watching the food that you take into your body? Do you make a deliberate effort to exercise? You know, it was George Burns. He said, we cannot help getting older, but we don't have to get old. And many of us get old before our time because we don't take time to take care of ourselves. Your environment is a very good indicator. On a scale of 1 to 10, is it what you want it to be? Do you find it desirable? Are you satisfied? The job or career that you're involved in. Someone said that 85% of the American public are unhappy with their jobs. Are you spending 8 hours a day just doing time? Doing something that you don't find challenging, that does not make you stretch mentally, that does not stimulate you, that does not inspire you. Something that you don't find a sense of fulfillment in it. If you're doing that day in and day out, it has to affect how you feel about yourself, your level of motivation. Your relationships. What kind of impact is it having on your life? Is it nourishing or is it a toxic relationship? Does it drain you or does it build you up? Ask yourself that. How motivated are you to do something about it?
You're welcome back. Most of the time when people read in the Bible that your body is a temple of God, our understanding is limited to morality, Abena. But then the human body has got rights, and we need to know how to segment our time. Definitely. In Arab culture, they say time is like a weapon. If you don't strike it, it will strike you. But you spend a third of your day, your whole life, out of the 24 hours, we spend a third of it sleeping. Yeah. So how do we manage our time so that we become productive?
Well, I think managing time is as simple as that. Managing your time basically doesn't just mean you waking up and then going to work or whatever. But you'll have to segment your time and do other things that you think are relevant, and then that can bring about productivity into your life.
I mean, most of the time you call somebody, hello, and I go say, how are you? I could say, what are you doing now? I'm doing nothing, no. You understand? Yes. So should there be anything like, oh, I'm doing nothing in our lives? Not at all. Can we make use of every minute and every second?
Time, they say, is money. And so if we manage our time well, of course, things would go better than, I mean, calling someone and the person says, I'm doing nothing. There is something to do. It's just that sometimes we just decide to close our eyes on them, but there's always something for us to do. And so if we manage our time very well, of course, this country will move forward. So the individual will move forward.
If you are not sleeping, if you are not at work,
you should be reading something.
You should be reading.
Yes.
And the culture
Gaining
of reading,
more knowledge.
The culture of reading is really poor in this country.
Yes.
And most of the time when you enter an airplane, and then you are doing a transit and you meet Ghanaians on the way, the white folks normally would come with magazines online, reading. But then
even in the buses, back in the UK, in the buses, you see a white man seated with probably holding a tab, a laptop or whatever, and then they're reading. But the black man is probably listening to music or doing nothing.
So what do you have for us by way of trending?
Okay, as usual, we've got a lot today. Packed story, but we just got to be a bit quick about it. Okay, a story on the KNUST student
thing again. My good friends.
I know. KNUST student triumph as authorities reverse for oppressive policies. That's from My Joy Online.
It was announced yesterday that the governing council of the university has been dissolved.
Yeah.
For me,
what led to the dissolution?
Yeah, the dissolution. This couldn't have been the best outcome. It's just like being the head of a family. A child misbehaves towards an uncle, then you humiliate the uncle in the presence of the child and the rest of the family members without any rebuke to the child. In future, it won't be the uncle. The next target will be the father. From the father, the child may target the whole head of the family. So therefore, I have always called for a very moderate balance. There has been no rebuke for the students for the vandalism they caused on campus.
And but there must be a costive factor.
Yes. So there must be a rebuke, a reprimand for them. And in the dissolution of the governing council, I see that palpably absent. And if care is not taken, it will embolden others. And the propensity for students in other public universities like UG, UDS, UCC, and others to violently express what they see as their grievances on campus would increase. So therefore, apart from the dissolution of the council, we need to see scapegoats made out of the people who spoiled what my tax money and your tax money are used to provide a public university like KNUST. So I'm not satisfied with the outcome at all.
Well, but I think coming to consensus with the student is also a good idea, because this also would, I mean, at least set as deterrents to other school authorities, because if you're taking a decision without including the student, sometimes there is a question mark. So in this case, I think they're on the right, it's a right step, or they're on the right direction, but I wouldn't say the students have done well by vandalizing school properties or whatever, but it's cool, I think, yeah.
That's cool. Fine. So what's the second story?
Okay, the second story says, the African Union has described Ghana as a beacon of stability and democracy. It says that issues of violence in Ghana are the lowest on the entire African continent.
Yeah, I think we are doing pretty well. And then His Excellency says Ghana will continue to serve as a bulwark against terrorism on the continent. We just need to resolve the unemployment issue, and we are good to go.
That's cool.
And we already have a reputation as being the bastion of stability on the continent. We just need to consolidate those gains and credentials so that we attract more foreign direct investment.
Sure, I agree with you. And our next story, that was actually from Peace FM. And then, very rich, so poor. The sad story of mining communities in Ghana.
Some of the poorest roads are roads found in some of these mining communities. Poorest schools, poorest health facilities, Obuasi, Prestia, Takwa, Tadi, which is an oil city currently. So therefore, I believe that local content we talk about all the time, when foreign investors come in to engage in high-stakes economic activities like mining or drilling oil, a good percentage of it as a form of corporate social responsibility should go directly into the development of the areas where they mine.
Why do you think these areas are being neglected, especially when it comes to the roads leading to these mining communities? Because I think those are, well, we say we get money from, mining, and those communities should be should have the best of roads.
It's exploitative. On one hand, it should be a corporate social responsibility for the miners and those who drill our oil to invest directly and also provide jobs for the youth in those areas. Currently, it's something we are working on regarding the oil industry to prevent a semblance of what happened in Nigeria, the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta. We are working assiduously towards that. And this goes to the very heart of the grievances that are raised by people who feel neglected, even though they serve as, the main sources of revenue for the Republic of Ghana.
Okay, that's cool. Our next story says, Professor Akosa urges Ghanaians to adopt healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, healthy eating is good. The most fanciful meals we have are junk foods. And obesity is gradually becoming a problem in Ghana. So therefore, we need to eat healthy, take a lot of fruits, take a lot of veggies. Those are very
Drink
important.
A lot of water.
Drink a lot of water, and then don't eat too much frozen food. And also don't eat too much canned food. Recently, there was a brouhaha about tilapia. I believe that when we adopt healthy ways of conducting agriculture, whether it's in the fisheries area, organic agriculture, and then the kind of fertilizers we use, I believe, and GMOs, we should kick against genetically modified organisms. They are not too healthy.
I think some time ago, those genetically modified foods were accepted in the country, which I think
policymakers almost accepted. But then, courtesy of Graham, the Third World, Forum, and a host of other, civil society organizations, we kicked against it. And that stifled any, leeway anybody could have used to impose GMOs on us. But I dare say that Ghana Standards Authority, the Food and Drugs Authority, they are doing great. But if care is not taken, some of these GMO products will find their ways into the country as contraband because of the porosity of our borders and insecurity in our seaports, so to speak. So be careful what you eat, be careful where you buy your farm produce, and when you buy from the open market like Agbogbloshe or Makola, wash thoroughly before you serve your family.
But do you think we don't have these genetically modified foods in our markets?
I dare say, well, on face value, you would say that we've passed the legislation to prevent their infiltration into the country. But we are a leaking bucket as a country. Everything just filters through. So we just have to be careful what we buy and what we eat.
Away from that, our next story says, Ethiopia gets first female president. Oh, that's good.
For those who embraced affirmative action, apart from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, this could be the second female president we've got. But there's another figure many people don't remember, the wife of Mandela. They got divorced before he died anyway. She also passed, Winnie, she passed away not too long ago. They say behind every successful man is a woman. You can't imagine the kind of contribution women make in our political decisions on this continent. So if there is an opportunity to serve on the front line, I believe that women should be given the opportunity to serve.
That's cool. Anyway, that'll be all for our trending news for today. Everybody's got a lot of a good discussion with our guest on the studio, and so I'll take a leave of him. I'll be back with comments.
Thank you so much, Abna Safo. We'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we discuss students or pupils with special needs. We discuss inclusive education today. Do stay and stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
To enroll your ward in a school that has keen interest in academic excellence and sound religious upbringing, then Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences is the place. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences, Great Asas, offers general arts, business, home economics, visual arts, general science and technical courses in auto mechanics and applied electricity. Great Asas has well-equipped laboratories for all the science-related courses, an ICT laboratory, and a well-stocked library. Excellent boarding facilities are available for both boys and girls with adequate security measures to ensure your ward's safety. Students also have the privilege to go to Apostle Safo Suaye at Gomo Ampota for practical lessons with the proprietor, Apostle Dr. Engineer Kwedo Safo, for 1 month during the long vacation. We also have a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home. Great Asas has a cadet corps, a choir, drama and debating club to harness the hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshila Stop, Accra, Ghana. Great Asas.
Brand Yankopon bo ni wiase no wotena ase din hunu se niam wo bo ye nyina ye na adebon to aso ba ko de hye nipa nsa ne awo ene se obi bewo aba wiase na kola na didem obi nso so eba wiase ansa na wabenya efa akwanhie mu enam sa yo so ma Kantanka television e de dwumadie sonko kura din eda so ne makosem ebrewo na dwumadie so ena obehu obi a ofuru kube ekote ebegina kwan ho eton sa nso na obi a nani efira na woye wo wo eye ehu bibia obehu obi otete ahai ene de wono nso so eye samana wo mo nyina ani efira na yasan so ne atitiriw atwetwe nkomo afampre nsen awareja ye hu nsunsuaso ene nkwada a ye de omokọ enkwaso ne be mo hunu se abrabo na wo bo no achia nso emu Brand Yankopon bo ni wiase no wotena ase din hunu se niam wo bo ye nyina ye na adebon to aso ba ko de hye nipa nsa ne awo ene se obi bewo aba wiase na kola na didem obi nso so eba wiase ansa na wabenya efa akwanhie mu enam sa yo so ma Kantanka television e de dwumadie sonko kura din eda so ne makosem ebrewo na dwumadie so ena obehu obi a ofuru kube ekote ebegina kwan ho eton sa nso na obi a nani efira na woye wo eye ehu bibia obehu obi otete ahai ene de wono nso so eye samana wo mo nyina ani efira na yasan so ne atitiriw atwetwe nkomo afampre nsen awareja ye hu nsunsuaso ene nkwada a ye de omokọ enkwaso ne be mo hunu se abrabo na wo bo no achia nso emu
You're welcome back. There was a seeming lacuna or a gap in our discussion on preschool and basic education, even though we exhaustively discussed the various facets that needed to be discussed. One important plank that has to be covered has to do with little ones that are born with a disability, or those that don't have those disabilities, but because of accidents, they have those disabilities. We have in the studios Mr. John Osei, an educationist and a specialist when it comes to inclusive education. Sir, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
At the appropriate time, you'll be able to call into the show, but then in the meantime, you can reach us only via WhatsApp on 0242 817-239, and that is boldly inscribed on your screens. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
A little insight into what inclusive education is. What is inclusive education?
Actually, inclusive education is increasing of access to special educational needs that some time ago they called them special education. But educators and people from Ministry of Education, NGOs, and other people who were interested in education saw the need that they should come out together. And so in 1994, they met, including America. They came to Dakar and then had a meeting. So at that meeting, they concluded that there are some other children with learning difficulties and then physically challenged ones. And they had another second thought that it was becoming difficult for parents to sponsor such education. And therefore, it became very clear that they should meet again. And so that was 2000. After that, then they put down all these records down. So in 2003, they met at Alabanca to really look at the reports again. And there came the name Inclusive Education. That was when Inclusive Education was born.
So that's quite an interesting historical antecedent. And sometimes when you see a child crawling on the ground to cover only 1 meter, you can't help but pity the child.
Yes.
Some of these diseases are congenital, they are born with them, yes. And some too are infectious. Yes. What are the statistics, so to speak, with inclusive education and kids with special needs at both preschool and basic school level? Do we have more blind children, more crippled children? What are the conditions now?
Actually, statistics give 3% of the population as at 2015. As at 2015, that was the statistics given of the population. And actually, it includes children with impairments, hearing impairments, learning difficulties. Can I quote?
Please do.
Fine. Persons with intellectual development disabilities, persons with visual impairment, as I've already said, persons with physical disabilities, that is a cerebral palsy, persons with deaf and blind, persons with multiple disabilities, persons with attention deficit, persons with specific learning disabilities, persons with speech and communication disorder. Actually, the number 20.
Up to 20?
20.
Wow. Wow.
As GGESP, that is Ghana Government Education Strategic Plan, 2010 to 2020. That is what the records states.
Because we are quite a superstitious society,
yes.
Sometimes you give birth to a child with one of these,
yes.
And a doctor may give you the option of bidding farewell to the child. Mm-hmm. So what work do you do at that level, working with the health facilities to make people understand that they shouldn't have any stigma attached to the fact that they give birth to children with such disabilities, rather than killing them through lethal injection?
Yes. Also known as mercy killing in our parlance. Yes, that is true. And therefore, during antenatal care, parents are strongly advised to attend the 9-month period of their antenatal care. Actually, with all these things, you know, some of the causes per the literature states that they are caused by delays. Just as you have mentioned that in African context, they have that sort of thing in their minds that caused by the ancestrals, maybe the misbehavior of one or two of them that has led to this very uncomfortable situation. So, in having all these things in mind, the education is now running into the public, to the individuals, that these things are all caused by medical problems and some of the other things that goes on in the body system, taking in some toxins and other food causes some of these very disabilities in birth and the rest. And therefore, to come to the conclusion or to solve this very challenge for parents so that they have a clear mind, so that they wouldn't have any stigma for these very children, and then educators as well. We are all trained. We are all trained in school. The literature is there for us to read so that we become aware of what is about this very problem that we have on hand.
I will take you to the models, the kind of models there are, but then I'll itemize the 20 different, conditions you mentioned. So for a child who starts speaking quite late, some children pick up early, but some can be even 4 years and they can't utter a word. So what are the kind of models you use in educating them?
Right. We have instruments that help in the literature concerning language development. So these tapes, recorders, you will record some of the mimes, songs, and then other speeches, reading materials and the rest. You put them on these very instruments so that you play to their listening. As they continue to listen continuously, it helps them to become familiar with all that you want to do. That is with the use of these instruments, machines, and the rest. The other way around is colors, making sure that your classroom was speaking. Classrooms will speak. How do they speak? It's by pictures. Children learn and understand when they see what is before them. And, at that age, at the basic school, they are between the ages of 5, 6 to, that is for the 9 years, added to the 6 years, will be 15 years. So within this category of children, they learn a lot by concrete objects, especially in the primary school. They learn a lot by objects.
Is there any hope in future that the child will begin to speak, or is it done deal? And therefore, you need to come to terms with the fact that the person will attend such schools at all levels, because literally the child is dumb.
There are speech therapists in the system that help develop these very children with this very learning disability. And then not only even with the speech, with even writing.
Some can't write. Is it that their fingers are shaky? Or they can't hold a pencil? Why can't they write?
For example, using the cerebral palsy, there is a problem with the neurons. Okay, and that makes it very difficult. It affects their limbs, actually. So they become ridden on bed, or unless helped by the wheelchair to these very classrooms, so that from there they are helped through these speech therapies, and then helping them to write, giving them a lot of colors, especially to work with. So in so doing, they gradually warm up themselves into the class activities. Don't forget also that they are mixed with other children in the classroom. in the process, I forgot to mention one thing, that, you know, some people think that these physically challenged children don't even have the brains to work. I tell you, they are talented ones, very gifted ones over there, which the inclusive education really covers. So children are mixed up with all these people. And, you know, in one of the principles of education, too, is that children learn better when they are with their friends. So to answer your question specifically, children and teachers who are trained very well in this very area should give their best to help these very children.
I'll dilate the discussion further, John, but you made a very interesting point that people are saying we shouldn't pity the children. And if you mix them up with regular children, will they be able to keep up with the pace?
Yes. Very, very, very difficult for people who are not in the classroom to understand this very situation.
There is a little sound challenge, so we go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we continue this discussion. Do stick and stay with us.
Onipa how ene ne da achenti e na abribia wo sori prayer hwehwe na ahoto ne nso e ma prekope en kukuhwe ase ene wo how bebre ene wo mu wenti e na Kantanka TV ya hwehwe dwumadie foforo kra ya to din se edwaso nsem wo dwaso nsem dwumadie so ne baba pne dwadefo ne abusa wo mo how ene wo mama ne wo mo efa mu na empo se edaw bitai akira a wo de pre ahwehwe won da achen ahoto eno ti hia wo bia ba ama adwobi e wo Kantanka TV ne afa edwaso nsem emfa mbro.
Hello, lovely people of Africa, African Youth Time. This is the show, as I rightly said, that gives African youth the platform to have an up close with living legends who are helping build the continent.
The youth of Africa, they have a lot of potential.
What is killing Africans is our inability to discover and identify our potentials and what we can do for ourselves.
Nobody makes you a leader. You become a leader.
We are not poor. The resources in Congo alone can feed the whole Africa.
Hey, hey, 2 Kasale Primary. Change lesson, please. This a good morning. Why you late? Oh, my main champion. Why you late? My name is last one. Why you late? Bejabe, Tribeme, why you late? Say me your good morning. Hey, why you late? Oh, my main champion. Why you late? My name is last one. Hey, why you late? Tribeme, you fast, why you late? Hey, school the big keke. You just for know your F again. Ha, hey, no darling. Brother, if I wake up, say me your own pay myself. What time I need to have it last time? Baby, I'm a best one. I would do my time 11:30. Then put us in my bante.
What bantem won't make catch you? I won't so walk catch you. This boy and casa you don't respect. I should need to be the assignment. Be he crying as a war. I be feeling class test. You waba baby.
You're welcome back. We are still in the studios with John Osei, a man with over 30 years of experience in this area. John, welcome back.
Thank you.
And John, I was asking you a question. How do you put children with disability in the same space with those who are deemed as regular? Their faculties and senses are working during PE or physical education, class experimentation. how do the ones with disability cope with the pace?
Yes, they are not segregated. They actually put together. However, we have data records of all such ones in the classroom. And work is given normally. However, these very people with a little bit lower IQ, we actually give them additional attention so that work that will be given to the fast ones, let's put it that way, is not the same work that will be given to these very ones. If we give 5 to the gifted child, we would give 3 to these weak ones. So that they will
special,
be
or special ones.
Sorry.
Yeah, special.
So special.
If the others are gifted, these are
Yes.
special. They are not
one.
weak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So they are special here.
Okay.
You give them less work so that they will be able to finish.
Yes.
One other thing that we do is that since they are special, we involve their parents a lot so that much work is given to them as assignment to be completed in the house. And apart from all these things, data that we collect on these very special children, you know, the various challenges that they have. So all these records are kept and then used as what? Assessment for their promotion.
Okay, and thank you so much. I asked you about those who pick up a bit late in terms of speech. What about the blind ones? Kids that are blind.
You know, they are taken through Braille. They are taken through Braille. So in the definition of inclusive education, you know, the old one, which is the special education, remains for these very ones to be there so that they will be helped with the Braille and do so much that is needed.
So the Brailles, how do they work?
Oh, we provide them with.
How do they work? Because at that tender age, how do you use? We see older ones, even at the university level, because they know how to use the Braille. Yeah. But at that tender age, whether preschool or basic school, how do you train the kids to use the Brailles?
Teachers who handle these very special ones are trained with now a new equipment, which is the computer has been introduced into the system, and they have it. And so they take them through the various skills that they need to be able to read the Braille.
Is that a Herculean task? That must be very difficult.
Yes. It is with time. Since it's their profession and they have the will and then the zeal to do it, gradually these children are taken through and they become very well whilst they are at their studies.
I'm particular about the blind ones. So they report to school, and then while they are with their colleagues, younger ones, is it that the nature of the blindness is that their other senses really work, so they are conscious of their immediate ecosystem? And how do people who are not physicians treat these kids?
Yes. The point is this. The other senses work all right, just that they cannot see. And through these very instruments, with the young ones, they are taken through. And it's not difficult for them to be used to some of these very things that they may need. The young ones that follow, their siblings in the class, also do so much through this very training. And therefore, it is not difficult. Remember that since they are blind, this very challenge of them, they are given special facilitators who would really take care of them. And you know, the other things that they use whilst they want to go out, play with their other friends in the classroom and other recreational activities that are there, will be provided to these very special ones. And they are not left alone. They are actually guided in the process.
Okay. Apart from those brazen ones we know, blindness, leprosy, dumbness, deafness, what about the other challenges? A child can't hold back urine from their bladder. Maybe every 1 hour they would soil themselves, whether through a fecal matter or through urine. Are they also considered special? Do they fall within the category? And is there any special arrangement for them?
Yes. They are segregated here. They are not added to the mainstream simply because of their peculiar problems. We usually call the help of the physicians. Other therapies are also very important. Counselors also come in so that such special ones are treated separately from the other ones who are healthy and they can do the normal things that the mainstream peoples do.
Okay. I think the final question before we open the phone lines for our viewers to interact with us. How do these children grow without inferiority complex? Or psychologically at that stage they don't know they are short of what a complete human being should be, so to speak, because of their special needs and unique challenges?
Yeah.
Do they look the others and see that this is not a complete mirror of what I am? This other child can do this. He or she has this capability, I don't. How, at that school level, how do you treat inferiority complex?
Yes, they are aware in the first place that they are not healthy, strong enough to be running and coming back and the rest. And therefore, their friends who play with them make them feel like one of them. And therefore, that inferiority complex that will be there, or the child will be experiencing, will not be there. I just want to give you an example. In my classroom, for instance, there was a child like that. In fact, by the end of the term, she has become used to everybody, every child in the classroom. And they just go and come back during break and during classes hours and do same as the other peoples do in the classroom. So actually, the only difference is that they are they have a peculiar problem on hand, which they all know they must also help in one way or the other to help their friend.
Okay.
Yes.
And we now open the phone lines. You can interact with our guest, John Osei, by calling us on a line that will shortly show on your screens, 0558 656 899, 0558 656 899. I'll ask you this question because we live in quite a class society. And the various strata we have in terms of your level of economy or income as a family. Do children with such special cases from poor families struggle at that basic education level worse than children from well-to-do family?
Yeah.
And what is the thin line of difference?
The effect is there. The effect of this class of children is there. And therefore, we encourage that. That is one of the challenges that this inclusive education faces. And one way that we can solve it with children who have their parents not financially, the financial background of these very children are not very good. All the necessary tools that are needed are provided. So here you wouldn't see any difference.
Okay,
that
sorry,
this
there's
child
a caller on the line. Sorry, I'll be cutting in intermittently. Hello, caller. Thanks for making time. Hello, caller.
Hello. Good
Yeah,
morning.
hi. Thank you for making time. Your name and where you calling from, ma'am?
My name is Hilda. I'm calling from Takwa.
Hilda from?
Takwa.
From Takwa. Welcome to the
Yes,
show.
please. Thank you. Please, I have some problem.
What's your problem, Hilda?
My problem is I have a 10 years boy who cannot speak due to convulsion.
Okay. And then is the boy in school?
No, please.
Why haven't you taken him to school?
We've been finding some school, but all schools are day school, and I'm from Takwa, so.
Okay, Hilda.
Yes.
John will tackle your concern. Thank you so much for making time. John, is it that these, special schools are only in Accra and Kumasi and you can't find them? How widespread are they in other communities, cities, so to speak, and villages?
Yes. So, in the first place, let me put it this way, that this is one of the problems with the special education, which we have schools numbering 13, where the caller is coming from Takwa. There is a school in Sekondi, which is called Sekondi School for the Deaf. Here, the caller says
the child can't speak.
Can't speak, yes. So, first of all, quickly see a therapist, and then a counselor will come in. Then the school, the district that she is, she would find, how do you call it, a school who can help her in this very area.
Okay,
So,
caller, thank you for your patience. Thanks for making time. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello.
Yeah, your name and where you calling us from, bro?
Please, my name is Solomon Dako. I'm calling from. Please, my name is Solomon Dako. I'm calling from Kaswa. Currently a student of UW, offering community-based rehabilitation and disability studies.
Okay, Solo, thank you so much for making time. What do you have on your mind, Solo?
Please, I want to know how does the CBR come into, context of what our father is saying, as in the CBR course.
CDR.
Yes, please.
How do we fit CDR into inclusive education? Is that your question?
Yes, please.
Okay, Solomon, thank you so much for making time. You know CDR? Okay, and how do you infuse that in inclusive education?
they are giving chairs to gain. That is where someone is having a problem with the neurons and the nerves.
And so they can't position themselves on a chair.
Exactly the case. And so such ones, a therapist will then come in and then give appropriate advice as to what they should, the actual steps that they should do, whether to join the mainstream or to have a special care for such a child.
So it's like the child is boneless. The child can't be on a chair in class. Is that the only child, or the child cannot stand?
Just that the nerves of this very child is not active as the normal nerves should operate. And so it is a challenge for this very child.
Okay. Yes. And that brings us to the next area. Even though we have very little time, we need to be wrapping up now. With the facilities, it looks like there is no, blanket check, so to speak, as to what a child with a special need or who a child with a special need is. So who checks to find out that for the blind, you need to satisfy these conditions? For the dumb, for those that can't even sit, as you indicate now?
Yes, so they are the physicians.
Okay. Okay, maybe let's take this other caller. Hello, your name and where you calling us from?
I'm calling from Tissue. My name is Maxwell.
Max, kindly lower the volume on your set and we can still hear you, Max.
Okay, sweet.
Where are you calling us from, Max?
I'm calling from Tissue.
From Tissue. Welcome, Max.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Max, put off your TV set and we can still hear you.
Yeah, I'm away from there.
Okay, you can actually put it off if it won't bother you.
Oh, okay, okay. What I'm trying to say is,
yeah,
I have a 10 years old girl.
Okay.
But when we talk, she says, all right. I tried putting in several
Max, we would have loved to hear from you because you have a personal challenge with your child, but unfortunately the line is not too clear. So you may want to drop the line and try again. We'll give you the opportunity to be the final caller.
All right, I'll do that.
So this issue seems not to make the headlines, but two of our callers directly have children with such challenges. Yes. So it's quite widespread in the Republic of Ghana.
Very much, very much. And that is some of the recommendations that those of us who have studied the literature and do some little research about this very area are saying that parents...
Can we make this person our last caller?
All right.
Okay, hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Ibad.
Yeah,
this
hi.
Is, Kasim Abdullahi.
And Kafil from where?
Kasim Abdullahi, calling from Accra, Nima.
Okay, welcome, bro.
Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying the show this morning. And I think disability is not inability.
Yes.
If only we direct our attention to their needs and make sure that we focus on interventions like this that can address their need in order to bring out the best in them. Like your guest mentioned a while ago, they have some special abilities or some wisdom, if I may say, that if we put our attention to it, we can actually make the best out of that.
Okay.
And I think intervention like basic education and the kinds of needs that they need in order to be able to fit well in society, if they are provided, it will help us a lot and it will help the country.
Okay, thank you so much, Kasim. Thank you so much for making time. And we go for our final commercial break. When we come back, Abena read some of your messages. So those stick and stay with us.
In a school where quality basic education, discipline and moral upbringing is our hallmark, then come to Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Basic School. Great Asas, Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences has vacancies in preschool, lower and upper primary, JHS 1 and JHS 2, with spacious and ventilated classrooms. The school also has excellent boarding facilities for students from upper primary to JHS. Great Asas also has a well-stocked library, a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home, with adequate security measures to ensure your ward safety. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Preschool has state-of-the-art learning materials to make learning fun for your ward. We also have the Cadet Corps and a cultural troupe to tap hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi Last Stop, Accra. Great Asa! Do you want to enroll your ward in a school where quality basic education, discipline and moral upbringing is our hallmark? Then come to Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Basic School. Great Asas, Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences has vacancies in preschool, lower and upper primary, JHS 1 and JHS 2, with spacious and ventilated classrooms. The school also has excellent boarding facilities for students from upper primary to JHS. Great Asas also has a well-stocked library, a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home, with adequate security measures to ensure your ward's safety. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Preschool has state-of-the-art learning materials to make learning fun for your ward. We also have the Cadet Corps and a cultural troupe to tap hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi Last Stop, Accra. Great Asa!
You're welcome back, and we have quite a number of your messages, and some are quite a mouthful. Abena will try her best to read a few of them. Okay, Abena?
Yeah. Dan Suman. Anyway, Mary, thank you so much. That's from Mauku's Fashion. And then the next one says, David, I'm watching from Germany. Good job, Kantanka TV. And then the next one is from Jenny Acha. Very insightful commentary on trending issues. Keep it up. And then next one says, the dissolution of KNUST Council is out of touch. I don't think it's merit for now. What matters is the removal of the policy so that the conversation of the university hall will no longer be mixed with feminists. Otherwise, this effort initiated by government will be a waste of time for everybody. This is from Alaji Willie P. in Efia Kuma. And our next one says, please talk about time please, you talked about time management. Yeah, time is everything, time is money, time is power, time is success. Today, I'm using my time to derive knowledge from the discussion. And then the last one, I may not be able to read everything because you've got quite lengthy, stories, but this one, I'll summarize this one. This one is just talking about we should give equal opportunities to people with disabilities, and because they are just as we, those who are
Yeah, and
okay.
I think the last caller is a medical practitioner. He made it quite clear that disability is not inability. God will not deprive you of something and not make up with another unique capability.
Exactly the case.
And I'm told the children some of them have really retentive memories,
yes,
better than regular children.
Yes, that is very true.
So in summing up, the concerns from the and those who have sent us messages to Abena, and also your final remarks, because we are hard pressed for time.
Right. I just want to say that we in the diaspora or Ghana can also do as the Americans have done it. In America, they have other policies like no child is left behind, and there is no child that there is no importance.
And someone even asked what interventions are there to do early detection of such disabilities and know where to take your child.
Yes, the physicians are ready to help. Early detection really helps, and that will even speed up solving problems of these very children before entering into the preschool and then continue into the basic school. So when we get all these informations, don't forget that we have data on these very ones. And so once we have the data and then no other schools that are really going with inclusive education, we quickly address parents who have such problems to the various schools so that they can help them.
Thank you so much, John. I know you have a lot in your chest you'd want to come out, even though you are not the vice president. John Osei, thanks a great deal for making time.
You're
we discussed inclusive education. Till we come your way next time with another edition. Stay blessed and keep watching Kantanka TV. Do have a good day. Thank you so much.